Thank you.
So last but not least, Antony Gough representing the Terrace. Antony, welcome back to the table. And Annabelle, welcome back to the table.
Lovely, thank you very much. I've just brought Annabelle here because it's probably worth knowing that the businesses and the Central City Business Association actually work very, very closely together. If we don't, we're not going to actually jump this city out of the doldrums. It's been an extraordinary run for the Centre City. Everything's been against it, but there's been huge commitment and we're gaining ground. I just thought I'd quickly run over my submission. It's a really brief submission. The first thing, it talks about rates. It says there's a huge commercial differential for rates in that you've actually got commercial properties paying more than 60% per dollar value of capital than you do for your other places like residential. And yet the Centre City has already got its infrastructure sitting there, and the value of the properties is hugely higher than anything else. And we question why you continue to want to penalise the commercial sector in this way. I know there's little that we can do, we just sit there and accept it. But actually, I see no good reason for it, so I question it. The one thing I would say is, I'd like you to increase charges, please, on vacant and derelict sites. And I think you should look to try and do that because we've got some people, a lot of out-of-towners, who just don't care about the city. And they're quite happy to leave a vacant site for the next 50 years. That is not helping. You need to find a way to penalise those people and cause them to resell. I've got a vacant site on Terrace Street. I don't have the money to develop it. I'm looking to sell it. I'm not looking to land bank it, to think, oh, this is a great thing for future generations. That does not help Christchurch now. So please, put a penalty on those vacant sites. Multi-purpose arena, I think a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between capital and OPEX, and I'm delighted to hear from these people, all of you, that you do understand that, and you've got the crazy people like Minta who turns out and says we should be not doing the capital things that will help our rates. It doesn't. Critical that you get on with that multi-purpose arena. You have no idea how much it will make a difference to everyone here. So, and at the moment, the front end is a small part and you're getting government funding. So please, don't delay, get on with it. We've got an opportunity. Homeless and bedding have been sort of gently taken off our streets. They're creeping back. I think this is a time where we should try and look for a mechanism to address that. It's not a good look, and we need to not sit our hands and pretend it doesn't exist. So I think this is an opportunity to work on that. Next thing is the Central City Business Association. It is critical that it keeps going. None of us, like Annabelle, myself, I must get paid for it. We're putting a lot of time into this, but it cannot continue without any funding. It generally has been here $100,000 a year, and I asked for at least for that. You would have heard this earlier submission as a sort of a real jump forward, but as a minimum, we need to make sure we continue that 100,000. I've also commented about council re-looking at costs, and I had a really good discussion with Leanne and Dawn yesterday, and delighted to hear, I think they have it well in hand, so I'm not going to make more comments. And the last comment I'd make is, I want you to increase the charges, please. So here you're finding me actually asking you to increase charges, not reduce them. Why on earth are we using rates to subsidise the Litchfield Street car park building? Everywhere else in town, on multi-storey, it's $4 an hour. You got yours at $2.80. There is no reason for you to have it at $2.80. You're using the rates to subsidise. For God's sake, lift the charge. And you're hearing it from someone who's passionate about the city. I know car parking is a big issue, but you don't need to use rates for that part. I'm open to questions.
Great, thank you. Are there questions? Yanni.
Sorry, how do you know that we're using rates to pay for Litchfield?
Quite simply, you can't make a return on investment for a car parking building. I know. Mine are costing me $70,000 a car space. At $2.80, you are not making a profit on it. You're actually using it. It's user charges.
So sorry, there's a difference between using rates to subsidise the ongoing cost of it versus making a profit on it, right? So,
You think it's wrong to make a profit on car parking?
well, given what we've heard previously from people in the central city about having free car parking, yeah, I think some people would think that if we were seen to be excessively charging from car parking to make a profit, people would probably be quite concerned. But that's certainly what we've heard in terms of recent feedback. But I just really wanted to understand if we are the perception of using rates to subsidise car parking. And I don't know, maybe we can get some information about that, because I would agree. I don't think we should be subsidising it.
Well, everyone else is at $4 and the others are reasonably full.
Well, the card is not.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly full. It's not totally full, but the council one fills first because it's at $2.80. Why are you doing that?
Right. The other thing, I was going to check previously, because everyone's making a lot about this new way of doing stuff, but previously the council used to use the increase in car parking charges to go ring fence into the Central City promotion. I think it was through the Central City Business Association maybe originally, and also the Chamber of Commerce. It was about $850,000 a year. So the idea of tying, I was just trying to understand really if you'd support tying in the issue of car parking in terms of the charges, going back to a dedicated fund to support the Central City as a way of kind of covering those costs.
Great idea.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Further questions? Anne?
Thank you. I'm interested in the business differential that you mentioned, and I understand that the Christchurch differential is much lower than other centres, and that was because of the earthquake impact, and that some changes were made then. As part of the presentations and the workshops that we had, we were given some information about the business differential and the costs that are able to be claimed by businesses that actually lower that to being actually somewhere very close, I think $1.06 or something like that, to the above the dollar for businesses that residents aren't able to do. Is that right?
Well, it depends what tax rate you're on.
Yeah.
Auckland, if you want to know what Auckland did, they actually took a chunk of that that differential and actually gave it to Heart of the City, which is the equivalent of Central City Business Association. So that's how it's funded in Auckland.
Right.
And we would see nothing wrong with doing that here in Christchurch. But just to sit there as an extra revenue gatherer because we get tax deduction doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anne?
Thank you. I'd like your feedback a little bit on retail hours in the city. I'm wondering if it's ever been considered to open later and stay open into the early evening. Often I'm in there and I notice people, particularly tourists, well not so much at the moment obviously, but wandering and nothing's opened. Have you considered,
We certainly have. We'd be very keen to see. I actually see no reason why we don't do 10 till 7 at night.
Yeah.
But if you want to know my bars and restaurants, I have a clause in their lease that says they must be open from 11 in the morning to 11 at night, 7 days a week, no exceptions. So you'll find all my tenants, the only day I think is Christmas Day, and if we could open them, we would. But anyway, that's what we do. So I totally agree with you. I think and I think we've sort of, perhaps you could comment because you've got a pharmacy.
The Business Association that comes up time and time again, and we are fully supportive of a standardised business hours because we want every resident to come and enjoy the city and not have an excuse that, I went to the shop and it was closed. So that is something that we are working with, but it is very difficult because Antony's tenants are very lucky having him as a landlord because they do have set hours they have to be open, but not every landlord has that in their lease, which I think is a big shame, really.
Probably a single point of difference, unique point of difference for the city aid.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Antony, for taking the time and coming along to present to us today, and thanks for your your passion for and your commitment to Christchurch as well. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
So that brings us to the end of the hearings panel this morning. So now what I need to do is to adjourn the meeting until 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday the 23rd of June, when we'll continue with the hearing of submissions. So I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.